Well, good morning to you. Welcome to Sunday Best on KTN Home and BTV. It's good to have you. Thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to be here with you, to get to engage, to get to share, to get to hear a really powerful testimony. And it's always a pleasure, to get to hear what God is doing in the lives of His people. And right in there is where we get restoration, redemption, and get to understand who God is, sovereign indeed in our lives. We are the Cascadia Apartments at the Two Rivers Mall. Simple, beautiful. Check it out. You'll definitely love it. Today's story is, and today we want to share with young mothers, those who've just gotten into marriage, and they're wondering, how do I go through this? But more importantly, when you get in there, it's time to get a baby, and you're in a mess, but then complications arise, and you wonder, why am I here? How did I get myself here? But through it all, God is able to help us come out of that. So I'm with Maggie Shege.
Yes.
Karibu sana Maggie.
Thank you so much.
You well?
Yes.
Uko blessed?
Niko poa kabisa.
Niko poa sana.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Karibu sana. So let's go back. Get to that point where you have gotten married to this gentleman and you're very excited to get into marriage.
Yes.
You don't know what awaits you.
Yeah.
Tuanzie hapo.
And I think one thinks the best, we definitely think the best awaits you.
Right.
And definitely it does, but sometimes it doesn't work out the way you thought it would.
All right.
And especially for us, I think it didn't go as expected.
All right, let's go back a bit. Let's get a bit more about Maggie.
Okay.
Yes.
Maggie is born again.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Margaret, of course, and I am born again. I love the Lord so much. And I've now been married, I think this is my 6th year.
Okay.
Yes,
Nice.
I think I'm no longer very young in marriage.
Ukipita tano nasikia ni
I know.
level ingine.
It's another level
Alright.
altogether, and we thank God. So I'm a business lady. I run a toys business. Yes, and it's something I totally enjoy doing.
Alright.
Business flows in my...
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Biashara
I
ina.
just love it.
All right. That's great.
Yes.
So here you are, you get married to this gentleman, and you're looking forward to an amazing, marriage as well as getting children.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Maybe I want to say we actually dated for 6 years.
Okay.
Like I met my husband in first year in campus.
Oh, great.
And we were friends for the longest time,
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just an amazing friendship because it was founded in the Lord.
Yes.
So it was just an amazing walk altogether.
Lovely.
And imagine now we are getting married, how excited we will be after waiting for all this time.
Yeah.
We were so excited to get married, and we were looking forward to an amazing journey altogether. And maybe that is not how it went, and I am not complaining.
Yes.
I don't complain about it. I believe it has gone God's way.
Right.
So in our first year of marriage, I wasn't really working, but my husband had a job. He used to work as an accountant, but then his job just was not as stable as I would, But then what actually happened sooner than we thought is that he lost his job. I think like 6 months down the line, he lost his first job.
Wow.
And
After you've gotten married?
After we gotten married.
Wow.
6 months down the line. As in, we were all shocked. Like, how could this even happen to us? And actually, it happened in such an interesting way because we had just shifted from one house to another. You know, the way you just move to another. And then that Saturday, he comes back in the morning and he's like, can you sit down? I need to tell you something. I'm like, why are you back? And then he was like, you know what happened? I lost my job, this and this happened, and here I am. I don't even know what to say.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was such a simple, do I even call it an argument? I don't know what to call it.
Yes.
And then he was told, just go home. And that is how his job ended. Yes. So we begin by praying now, looking for another job. I personally have been applying and all, but we kept hoping I will just go back to business because I have always loved doing business. So we took like 3 days to fast and pray actually. By the third day, someone calls us and says, I have recommended you for a job in a specific place. You just need to call that lady and she'll give you a job.
All right.
Yeah, so we were like, wow, the miracle came so soon, like after the 3 days. And so he actually called the lady, and the lady said, you come, report on Monday. So he began his job. But unfortunately, 6 months down the line, again. Wow. He lost his job. By this time, I had already acquired a small business in town. And I was so happy and so excited to be in business, back in business, and I was doing well. But somewhere along the line, we were sharing the shop with someone, and somehow we lost our rent through, I mean, I cannot really explain, but then we lost it, and we were not able to pay for like 2 months, I think. Then my husband has lost his job.
The second time now.
Yes, the second time. So I have, my shop has no rent. My husband has lost his job. Of course, you don't begin by paying the shop, like the rent. You will first have to pay like the rent for that house.
That's right.
And even before we knew it, anyway, we were kicked out. It was one of the most painful things that has ever happened to me, especially because I'm telling God, I have prayed and believed, you know. We have prayed God, and my husband has lost the first job, the second job. I have also lost the business. What is exactly happening to us? You know, I think you, as a Christian, you begin to question why
you're very young
is it
in
really?
your marriage
Yeah,
as
we are
well.
so young, and we thought we had done things as they should have been done. You know, we seek the blessing of God, the blessing of our parents, the blessing of the church. You know, and here we are. We keep losing jobs. You know, we feel like we are not stable at all, because when you keep losing jobs, there's not much you can do. And anyway, it's not like you had the best of the jobs anyway. So my husband lost his job, I lost my shop. I remember that was the first time I questioned and told God, I do not understand what you're doing. I am not able to tell anymore what you're doing with my life. And so we got into prayer, we prayed. There were promises of jobs, they never came through. This is, I think, 2017 now. We have no job. Almost, I think, like the whole year, we have no job. So, in 2018, the beginning of 2018, we found out I'm expectant.
Wow.
Yeah, and we were so excited. We're gonna be parents, you know. So we are so excited, but I remember my husband putting on a face like, so we are excited, but what are we going to give this baby? We have no food. We are struggling to pay rent. We have, I mean, we had really no much to us. Like, if my husband has no job and I have no job myself, what exactly are we? Even food used to be an issue at times, you know, because we actually depended on online jobs at times. You know, sometimes they are not there. Things that, you know, it was just a difficult moment. And so there we are, expectant, have no job. The whole year, like, and you know, a pregnancy takes almost like an year. We are looking forward to getting something. I think by this time, my husband, the online business, ilikuwa kidogo, at least we can get food or something, but not able to pay rent. I remember there's a day we had no lights, like tulikatiwa stima, and my husband was supposed to go for praise and worship on Sunday. So I remember he was telling me, I told God, honestly, God, you have to provide the money for this stima if you actually want me to go for praise and worship, because surely I will not go messed up there because I have no, you know. And actually God came through. Like, God will actually send people. I have seen miracles of people being sent to us to actually provide. Like, say, God said, I give you this 2,000. God said, I send you this 500. Those are days that in the morning, hatujui tunakula nini. And then God will send someone in the middle of the night. I remember there's a time someone actually sent money at 2 a.m. 500 shillings. That day, I was expectant and we didn't know what I will eat in the morning. Mind you, we used even to miss clinics. Like, consider we have 200. I mean, it is not even enough for the fare and all. We are like, we have to forgo. We just believe God, this baby is okay.
How did you survive that moment, especially in your relationship as husband and wife? Because it can get very rocky.
Well, I don't know. I would say,
of
course,
the fact that together in it?
We were definitely together. But at one point, I personally learned that it really puts a man down when he is not able to provide for his family. True. So sometimes it did affect my husband. Of course, it did affect me. But I think going back to campus where we used to do all manner of businesses,
Yes.
I think we were sort of used to not having much. Like it didn't really affect our relationship that much.
Right.
But all the same, you know, in a marriage setting, the man feels like I should and I must provide. So
That's
when
true.
he is not able to provide, it affects him in many ways. Because I remember there's a day I sat my husband down and I'm like, I think nowadays you don't talk much. And of course he was like, you know what? It is actually because it is so heartbreaking not to be able to provide for you. Now, why did I even marry you in the first place if I can't provide for you? And you are not alone now. You carry a baby. And sometimes I have to ask you, go and borrow some fruits there, go and borrow some githeri there. You know, for the day, sometimes we have to use charcoal because we have no gas. I remember like the whole of 2018, I think, people will be sent to just refill our gas.
Right.
Like every time in Aisha, 3, you know.
All right, let's proceed. So here you are, expectant.
Yes.
I mean, things are not turning around the way you were expecting. So this expectancy was not a normal expectancy. That was another challenge.
Okay.
Tell us how that period up to the time now you get to getting the baby.
Well, actually, I wouldn't say my pregnancy was difficult.
Right.
It's just that it had like the challenges, money
Later.
challenges, all those kind of
All right.
things. But at the end is when I actually began to have false labors.
Okay.
Like after every 2 weeks, I have false labor. I go to hospital. There's nothing. They send me back home. Sometimes I'd actually sleep over in the hospital. Then the next day they will discharge me. And of course, didn't think that would be an issue until I actually got to the day that I was supposed to deliver. And I arrived in hospital with some false labors. And I actually have not, like, they would say I have not opened up even a single centimeter.
Wow.
Which was so discouraging because, you know, you would think now I am maybe at 2, 4, or, you
You're
know, you
getting
just
there.
keep hoping
Yes.
that at least something, you know,
Yeah.
just because I also really trusted God to get a baby normally. So once we got there, they said, now this requires induction. And I mean, do we have a say? So we go in, I'm inducted, and then from the word go, it is super painful. I believe anybody who has gone through this
That
knows.
process, oh yes.
Yes, it is so painful. I screamed. I used to say I will never scream. I did everything that I said I never do because it was really something else. All the same, the issue was, as from, I think from 8 centimeter, I could not dilate any further. And it took time. I remember at one point I actually told my husband, I just want to go for CS now. And we never came here for CS. So you have to keep pushing. But then after such, I think I began laboring from 3 p.m. the previous day. Now it's the next day in the morning at around...
Sorry, 3 p.m.? So you
Yes.
labor the entire afternoon?
Imagine.
Evening?
Yes.
Into the night? The whole night?
Yes, the whole night.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, yes. You actually forget time is like for you an hour maybe even looks shorter because of the kind of pain, you know.
So now you're into the morning.
And my baby hasn't come.
Wow.
And I remember every time I will go in, they will say you are 8 centimeters. And so I was wondering, Kwani, what is this 8 centimeter?
It's not moving?
Yeah. So until they said, oh, now you are at 10. And I remember so well, I would see some nurses jumping. I didn't even know some are so like affected by whatever is happening, such that even for them, the baby coming,
It's
I
a
mean,
blessing,
I mean,
yes.
for them being with you through the night, nothing is really coming, you know, they definitely look forward to you having your baby. But then, unfortunately, when I got to that delivery table, I had zero energy. So I remember them actually giving me tea. I so remember that time they actually began to give me some tea to see if I get some energy.
Yeah.
And I did, but the baby will not come out. Like my baby
You were
was stuck.
tired.
I was tired, but also my baby was totally stuck.
Right.
Because they'll say, we can see the head, but your baby is not coming out. So later is when now they called some consultants, and now, of course, normal delivery was ruled out, and I was told, this is an emergency CS as from now. Of course, I wasn't even able to sign the papers. I remember so well. The pain I was in.
Yeah.
The only thing I kept telling them is that if there is a way of removing this pain, please. Stop, just stop this thing. And then, of course, immediately we got to theater. That was the first thing that they did. And then I remember I could not, after after I delivered my boy, he did not cry because I actually could not hear him. And then when I asked them, they definitely would tell you he cried. I would know later, they cannot tell you the baby didn't cry. While you are there on an operation table, it is not the right thing to do.
Ethically,
yeah,
it's not the right
it
thing
is not
to
the
do.
right. So after that is when I would know that my baby actually scored 3. And actually when my husband saw the baby, he could not even hold the baby to pray for him. Well, of course, there was no that time, and he needed oxygen immediately. Initially, they said he had swallowed the dirt and all that, but later, as the journey continued, they began to say, now we think he also has traces of meningitis.
Wow.
Now, that is my baby's story. So I think because of that, he actually stayed in nursery for almost like a month.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I wake up from my CS, I'm taken back to the wards, and after like a week, which through the week, I have no milk. Yeah, my baby has nothing to feed on. In fact, I remember mtoto wangu alikuwa anaekwa maji. Because I don't know, I think there are hospitals that don't give none immediately. They prefer, they just keep looking for that milk mpaka itoke. And then if they find it, at least hata hiyo kidogo they can top up with none. But they don't want to introduce the baby to none first. So I remember my baby alikuwa anaekwa maji. I'm sick, I don't have any milk, you know. And of course, we were a bit confused about it. Of course, they would say, is the trauma, is the everything, is all that. But then after like that 1 week, I discovered all my friends like around the ward, the ones who got my family CS the same time, the same day. Guys would stand on their own, like they would do their stuff, they would bend. I would not do any of those. As a matter of fact, singeweza hata kujipandisha bed. And if anyone tried to assist me, kuna vile angenishika, yani hata kama sita scream machozi inamwagika. Like I had side pains that were so painful, nothing like that. I've never had that kind of. In fact, nikiinuliwa hivyo nilikuwa nasikia uchungu yenyewe, it is so sharp that I don't even have to scream, machozi tu inajitoa.
It's screaming itself in itself is more pain.
More pain. So I would raise it with the nurses, with the doctors when they came for rounds, but most times it will be ruled out for acidity.
And this is a week later.
This is a week later. As a matter of fact, do you know, I was actually discharged. Now, I couldn't go home because my baby
was in nursery.
That is why I was in hospital, actually. So, after my baby stayed in the nursery for a few days, they said they want to bring him to my bedside because they feel like he has improved. So my baby is brought to my bedside. But remember, I am not able to do much. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, there's a point ilifika, I couldn't sleep myself in the bed. So me, I realized, sitatumia kitanda tena. I'll just be sitting on that chair and you'll come and hapo kando, hizi za plastic, nalala hapo. The only joy that I had, every time I would look at my son, Nathan, he would be smiling at me. I don't know. In fact, I say God used that little boy to just keep, hope. You know, to bring some hope to me. Because every morning he will wake up, he will be just smiling. He is sick himself, but he would be smiling.
Right.
So I think it got to a place where now I began to have shivers. I was always feeling cold. Then the other thing that happened, apart from the pains, my heart rate ikaanza kwenda juu. Then I began to have very bad discharge. So smelly that one day a nurse came to the room and was like, something is wrong with this room. Who is that who has that kind of a discharge? And I was like, it is actually me. She was like, I think you have a problem now. I think you do have an issue.
So all this time, Maggie, of course you have your husband very supportive.
Yes, yes.
Had you gotten a job at that time?
Now, at this point, while we were still, let me go back, while we were still like yet to deliver the baby, my husband had gotten this idea of selling toys, but he didn't know anyone. So somehow God led him to someone who actually introduced him to the business of toys. But he doesn't have a shop, he doesn't have the capital. So what he did, I think my husband is really good with IT, in as much as he didn't do that. So he began to make pages online, so he would sell a few things. In fact, when I was pregnant, we will do deliveries with him.
Nice.
So now he has a job. It's not a really job, ile inaweza tupea something to eat, but not much. As a matter of fact, at this point, we are in arrears ya rent ya nyumba yenye tuko naishi 5 months. Yes. I remember so well, 5 months.
Imagine
And I thank God for that landlady, by the way. She never threw us out.
Wow.
We would actually say, tutatafuta hiyo pesa. But she didn't, like, you know the way someone will come, throw out your stuff, or even awaongeleshe vibaya, she wouldn't. She will say, okay,
Bless her.
Yeah, we blessed her, in as much as I don't even remember her.
Yes.
So now we go forward. So my husband is now in hospital. He runs online businesses. They are definitely affected because the hospital was not in town.
Right.
So he's affected. He's not able to make his deliveries. Akaanza sasa kufail customers, of course. So his business will definitely go down.
Yeah.
And here is the wife and the son. Now they're in hospital, and he won't know for how long they'll actually be there. So now fast forward again. Now, I have been discovered to have something, they don't know what it is, but then they said, what we will do, utapimiwa and all. But even before that, on one of those events when I'm taking my son to the nursery, I will take him for checkups and all that. I actually, on my way there, I actually, my wound, like, ruptures. And I actually could see blood pass and all that. So what I did, I just ran, put my son on the bed, then came back. Thank God the lady I met, the first lady that I met, was actually a doctor, and she had actually known me. I do think she was actually in the theater. So she said, Maggie, are you okay? I'm like, I'm not okay. Look at me. I don't know what happened to my wound. So she's like, quickly, let's go, lie down. I need to check that wound right now. So of course she was like, the moment she checked my wound, she was like, this has an infection. There are no two ways around this, it has an infection. It may not be severe, but it is there.
Right.
So she was like, the next thing we want you to have is a scan to show us what is actually happening around your wound. So I think maybe that day I was taken for the, of course now they've checked my temperature, iko juu, they've checked my heart rate, iko juu. I definitely, I am not okay at all. And at this time, maziwa yangu ikaanza kukuja kadogo. Like, I would only get like 30 ml after expressing. That's too little even for the boy.
That's true.
So I'm taken for a scan, and the scan reveals that I have fluid in the stomach. They don't know exactly what kind of fluid, but there's a lot of fluid in my stomach. They actually say, this one is not the kind that we wait for at dry. You will need another surgery. You will have to go back to the theater. We open the wound and actually check what is happening inside. So of course that is scary, but I think at that point I wasn't as scared. I didn't know what was happening. And anyway, I was looking for a way out of the pain, you know. So after, I think like, after a day, no, they said I would go to theater. I think this was on a Friday, or on a Friday. They said, since we're going to a weekend, you will go to theater on Monday.
Right.
And then they took a culture of my pass. Of course, whatever pass I had, they took a culture. I don't know, but I do believe this was God working. On Saturday at Sasaba, they came to my room and like, prepare, you're going to theater right now. I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah, right now, you're going to theater right now. So I just began expressing my milk, ndio niachie mtoto something. And then after like an hour or so, they were like, you need to go. So they took me to theater. And of course, you wake up after, I don't know how many hours, but you wake up with a lot of pain. Surgeries are not funny. They are not funny at all. Because I woke up in a lot of pain. And of course, as they would explain later, they say, I actually had a whole liter of pus in my stomach. Like the fluid they would see is not, even the scan had not revealed to what extent that thing had been. Because it was messed up. The infection was so bad.
A whole liter?
A whole liter. They actually said they used like 8 liters of water to clean out the mess. And they actually told us, let me tell you, right now, because you're awake, you only had like 24 hours to live. Like your infection was so bad, and it's such a bad bacteria. As a matter of fact, no one had lived through that bacteria in that hospital. No one had lived through. Everybody who got that bacteria actually died. Yeah. But this is information we are given after. It is not at this.
At that point.
Yeah, if they tell you you will have died, you will think, now I am dying.
All this time, Mr. Shege akotuna wewe tu.
Imagine he would actually stay in hospital to the extent he would sleep on the couches outside. Because now he used to consider there is fare to pay, and I am not able to pay that fare. mtoto and my wife are in hospital. Wow. Of course hiyo ni bill pia namhesabia pesa yenye hata hana. So
it's accumulating.
It's accumulating.
Yeah.
And especially now that the wife has been declared. I am telling you the things that happen to the people of God. they're just sometimes it's just something else. Yeah. So after now I have come back and I am still in pain definitely. I'm not like totally out of the thing. Right. Because they said it's actually a very severe bacterial infection that you will heal. We trust God that you will heal. Thank God I was in a Christian hospital as well. Right. And so they will even pray. I was so surprised there are doctors who pray for patients because these ones did pray for me. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I remember some of the doctors would come to our room. Now I was put in isolation, by the way, because they said the bacteria is so dangerous. Hawawezi taka ukae general ward. Yeah. You might infect someone else and you don't know their fate, like what will happen to them. So I was actually moved to isolation. My husband has been so in hospital that they began to feel like they need to give him a place to sleep, just to lay his head. And they were so kind, actually. They gave him a bed next to me. Right. So he will be able to take care of the baby. Like, even if not do much, at least anaenda namchange diaper, go and feed him, wash his clothes and all that. Because the baby was still in nursery. The fevers took quite some time by the day before the end, which was also quite something for me because now my baby is in nursery and I'm also really not well. Wow. Especially because my heart rate will be so high. Right. Of course, I was not able to feed. I would have stomach aches all through.
But these are too many complications,
There are too many. And then, mind you, my legs are swelling.
Yeah.
Zilikuwa zimeswell. Like, I've never seen my legs like that. And mpaka even the times I used to be taken outside kutembea ulikuwa unaona hata wale wagonjwa wengine wanakuangalia. Like your legs are too swollen. Right. You know, because sometimes I'll be walked out. Kusaidiwa tu ile nione jua, you know. Yeah. And unfortunately, while I was still here, I developed another complication in my stomach, which they would say was an obstruction, a stomach obstruction. But I actually remember that day when the doctors came, like they really checked my stomach because I had stomach aches all through. It doesn't matter what they're giving me, painkillers and what. Now you have stomach aches, you have a wound to nurse, and at this point they have put so many tubes
around your
area. They normally put some tubes to like draw out the liquids. Because they hope that the wound will dry up. Right. But the only way they can do that, because wakienda theater, they don't determine kama itaendelea kutoa maji ingine or even the pus. So
your
they had to put
some. Swollen.
My legs are swollen.
You still have shivers?
Yes, I have. Yes, and I still have like those tubes and all. I still have pain. Surgeries are just pain anyway. Sometimes you're even told not to cough, not to. It's a difficult life. You laugh, it's a problem. You're not even supposed to laugh. And then the other thing, surgeries affect your bowels. So in actual sense, yes. Well, once you're out of the theater, you're given a few days for the bowels to kind of kuamka. So if they don't, they should take you back to theater. Right. And I am telling you, we will rejoice if I went for long call. Wow. Yeah. Wow. It's actually a miracle. You know, people, I think we may not understand the beauty of the things that God has put in us and how miraculous whatever happens, the way your body just functions.
Well, you'll be surprised that a finger like this, once it gets off, it's the things that happen.
There's
a lot of, connection between here and there and the other. Wow.
So we actually now develop another complication.
Yeah.
I was really puking now.
Okay, hold it right there. We'll be coming back with Maggie and. These are too many complications. Yeah. It's your very first baby. You have been having a lot of financial challenges. You're just trying to settle in, more complications, one after the other. And so it's getting very, very desperate. The husband, because he can't even afford bus fare to go home, he has to stay in hospital to make sure that he takes care of the wife. We'll be coming back in a short while. We want to see, so how did this progress? But more importantly, did healing ever come? And what was that healing like? All right, so don't go too far. This is Sunday Best right here on KTN Home and BTV. God bless you.